to capacity for the final of the World Basketball Championships 1994. There's the Russian starting lineup. Russia against the USA. Grachev, the number 5. Mikhailov, we'll go through that later. The big news for Russia is Andrei Fetisov is not playing. You may have seen him in the semi-final have an ankle injury, and he will not play in the final. Kent Miller, Coleman, Kevin Johnson, Joe Dumars starting for the States. Keeping Shaquille O'Neal back is the man in picture there, Don Nelson. And there's been 5 different starting lineups in the 8 games that they've had. So a Polish and a Uruguayan referee. And there's been some criticism of the refereeing here, particularly from Sergei Belov, the Russian coach, who's been saying that they've been playing some NBA rules, which is not what he understood. 1 or 2 things have gone unchecked. And he particularly didn't like the idea of Shaquille O'Neal passing to himself off the backboard.
No, a totally illegal move. You cannot shoot off the backboard deliberately and catch it and then slam it like Shaquille likes to do. Whether or not you can in the NBA, I'm not quite sure, but you certainly can't in international basketball.
News I can tell you is that Croatia have won the bronze medal earlier on today. They beat Greece 78-60. So Croatia, who was surprisingly beaten by Russia in the semi-final, take the bronze. This for gold and silver. USA have only ever won 2 golds. In Rio in '54 and Spain in '86. Russia, of course, is the Soviet Union. Won in '67, '74 and '82. Now, how will the Americans start here? Here's Reggie Miller. Coleman.
Well, a surprise from Coleman there. Everyone's looking to Joe Dumars to shoot the threes and possibly Reggie Miller as well, but Derek Coleman shows he can do it as well. And the Russians, they simply have to improve upon their 8% in that semi-final against Croatia. They beat Croatia, but they hit 1 from 12 from outside the arc. And there's a steal straight away, Joe Dumars.
Kevin Johnson. And there's Coleman again. The 2 and the bonus. And the foul against the man of the match in the semi-final victory over Croatia. Young Mikhail Mikhailov, just 23 years old, from St. Petersburg.
Not the start the Russians wanted. They were so well organized against Croatia, and at the moment their defense in disarray.
Coleman from the line. And the lead is 6 inside a minute. Bazarevic, who had a storming second half against Croatia. An indifferent start, though. Grachev. And Kemp with the rebound. Dumars. What a start from the USA inside a minute and a half. They built a 9-point lead.
Well, what a disaster for the Russians. They have to get their act together very quickly, otherwise it's going to be a rout.
And it's that man, Mikhailov, on the end of that. Sergei Belov, the coach, who said that his dream was to play in this particular match in the final. He's got his dream. He could go one better. Kevin Johnson.
Well, if ever there were a test of Belov's coaching abilities and his man management and his power to motivate, this is it.
Kazurin with the 2. Well, the USA in all sorts of trouble in the first half against Greece and at some of the periods in the second half. But they finally came good. But there's not been one match when they put it together for full 40 minutes. Have they, and are they going to be producing this in the final?
That's 5 from 5 field goals for the United States. What a start for the red-hot favorites.
Kazurin should have made it. In the end, has to wait for Karasev to pick it up. And the foul there. Kemp doesn't want any part of it as Karasev goes to him.
First personal foul.
In fact, it was Mikhailov.
Russia calls time.
Who had that ankle injury early on in the game against Croatia, and we wondered whether it would be crucial. Well, it has turned out to be crucial because he can't play in the final, but they went on and took the semi without him. Here's Kemp.
Well, the Russians just have to hope that the storm blows at some stage, because at the moment, the USA, they haven't missed a thing all night.
Karasev. And it's inbounds from the States. Reggie Miller. Kevin Johnson. And a good rejection that time from Grachev. There's Vazarevich. Looking for the foul, doesn't get it, but he gets the two. They've done well to stay within 7. So strong has been the American start. Lovely pass from Coleman into Kemp. And a good twist as well.
Almost the danger there of that pass being called alley-oop. The pass went so high and Kemp took off almost above the ring.
Karasev. And Kisurin. Now the Russians have been undaunted by this formidable start from the US. And a sticking. Dumas. Reggie Miller. Successful he has been for much of this tournament. 23 three-pointers in the tournament, make that 24.
And Reggie Miller there was virtually on the sideline when he took that shot. It's a foul that Kevin Johnson, his first.
Team foul of the period. Number 11, Kevin Johnson.
Here's the move from Vazarevich. He'll be doing the bulk of the ball handling and a good percentage of the scoring too for Russia. It's a backcourt violation and not particularly happy. They've started well. The USA have started just that little bit better. Faultless.
3 from 3 from outside the arc. That is stunning.
And Kemp immensely strong under the basket. Now the lead creeps up to 12. Just 4.5 minutes gone. 22 points in 4.5 minutes. Coleman screaming as he brings it down. Dumas. And this is unbelievable start. They've not started like this or anything like it in their 7 matches so far. They've saved it up. They've had a couple of spells like this. Never at the start, and always when Shaquille O'Neal's been on. No Shaq here. And for once, they look as if they don't need him. Dumas again. 27 now. 27-12 with just 5.5 minutes gone.
This must be the first time in a World Championship final that the team has gone 5.5 minutes and have not missed a shot.
USA foul. The second team foul of the period.
There's Coleman bringing that rebound down. They look really flat and out of sorts in the first half and some of the second against the Greeks. Indeed, Don Nelson looks as if he was having trouble communicating with some of his players.
Well, the way they're playing now, it looks as though they may even be after a world record points in a match.
Certainly, whatever problems beset them yesterday seem to be a thing of the past. Dumas again. Coleman fails to hang on. Vazarevich. I should have made it. Coleman again. 2 and the bonus.
Well, at long last, the Americans have missed a shot, but Coleman gets the fast break and slams it. And here's that missed one. Bazarevic should really have got it, and this is the fast break. Coleman goes right-handed and gets a bonus.
Excellent pass from Kemp. And that's Coleman's way of saying thank you.
What on earth can Sergei Belov, the Russian coach, do in these circumstances?
So Coleman dunks it right hands, puts a free throw in left-handed. Kisurin. The block by Kemp. The next time by Coleman. And look at the two of them.
And look at Kisurin complaining to the referee. He may just have a point there. There was a lot of contact in the arms. And the Uruguayan referee not interested.
Fantastic defense. And is this team charged up or what?
Maybe a situation where they're stunned by some of the criticism, Simon. Everybody's been on their backs all week. I'm trying to prove a point here.
Kisurin. And a foul. Looks like it's on Kevin Johnson.
Yeah, the difference there was that under the hoop, the referee was Mr. Zic from Poland. Very, very experienced referee. And I think Uruguayan, well, I hate to say it, maybe just a game too much for him.
Kisurin, second year on the national team. Been playing in Italy for Udine.
2 points given there. I think the defensive rebound had tapped it in.
But it only brings the lead down to 15. Miller. Uncanny shooting. Shot just 40%. And at times a lot lower than that in their semi-final against Greece. But it looks like they've come out ready to play here. Every single one of them.
And Sergei Belov, the Russian coach, is on his feet now. He's talking to his players. He's trying to get them inspired, trying to motivate them, having a go at the referees as well. And he's really got to do something special, get his team back in this game.
Domani to the line, who's been one of the revelations in the Russian lineup, just 19 years old. Joined the national team for the first time for this tournament. Been to college in America at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. Picked up some very good habits. Miller. He can't miss.
We're on course for about 180 tonight, Simon, I reckon, from the United States, if they keep going like this.
Babkov. Rebound, Coleman. Oh, Sean Kemp.
Well, maybe the Croatian team thankful that it's not them out there on the end of this hammering.
Domani. Karasev. That's a bad foul. Sean Kemp, sometimes a little over physical.
That's his game, though. Rough and tough, puts himself around, and there's evidence of it on the offense.
Yeah, don't mind that. The other stuff I wasn't too keen on. 38-16 is the lead. With 12 minutes left in the half. During the timeout, Roy, about Dream Team won and whether they played a spell as consistent over a period of 8 minutes as good as that, and we don't think they did.
No, I saw all the games from Barcelona. I can't remember anything like this. I think there are 5 guys out there, you know, determined to prove that the United States are not so reliant upon Shaq O'Neal as everyone seems to think they are.
Well, certainly Shaq's got them out of 1 or 2 real dire straits up to now. But as you say, I think the criticism has hurt, and this is the result. That's Coleman. And he particularly, I think, has felt aggrieved. Because some of the implied criticism has come from the praise that's been heaped on O'Neal defensively particularly.
Well, there have been 3 or 4 games when the United States opponents have been still in the game at this stage, but to be trailing by 24 after 8 minutes. Well, what do the Russians do now?
Listing number 4, Vasily Garcia.
Remember the first game in the quarter-final pool was 111-94. It was 10 points at the half, 17 at the end, and Russia played really well. And it's not that they played that badly here, but they've just been crushed by this festival of talent. There's Shaq, Dominic Wilkins, and Smith. Just enjoying it at the moment.
I think if you worried looks on the bench there, just to think when they go in there, they've got to keep the momentum going.
But it might not get on.
How on earth you go better than this?
Again. Wonderful though, spinning this way and that over at Kisserin. And Kemp takes the lead up to 26. That'll be a foul on Coleman.
Nice 2-man move there from the Russians. Pick and roll. And possibly their best player, Mikhail Mikhailov, was wide open inside. And a foul by Coleman. I say possibly their best player, possibly their best big player.
I'm really seeing Coleman smiling in this tournament. And Mark Price coming on. Another one who can bomb it from outside and create havoc inside as well. What role they look for him here.
Must confess, I thought $37 million over 4 years was a little bit over the top for Derek Coleman, but I can see now what the New Jersey Nets think of him.
Again. Oh, yes. Good move. Damani, Zurevich, and Babcock.
It's a good fast break from the Russians. They got 3 on 2, and normally the Americans get back on block, all 5 of them. But on occasion, the Russians beat them down the floor.
Averaging just over 14. In the Goodwill Games team, and here's the moment many of the fans have come for. The introduction of Shaq. Coleman goes off after a devastating display.
Well, Coleman and Kemp have absolutely dominated the defensive board, the Americans. And what a player to replace Coleman, an even better and bigger rebounder.
There's no doubt that Shaq has been the player of the tournament. Finds Price, and you just let him go, and you cannot afford that. Astonishingly quick hands and a very reliable shooter. Nazarevich sets it up again. Domani. Reggie Miller in front of him. So they've got a really quick team out there now with Miller, Price, Dumas. And they've got to put the shot up now. too late. And they pay the penalty. Good defense there.
Good defense, but really there was no awareness on the Russian side. The shot clock was ticking down.
Dumas. Kemp. Oh.
What a pass from Kemp there. I think it was deliberate.
Yeah. I'm sure it was. It's telepathy, isn't it? No, I would even dream of taking it.
Outrageous pass. And they're even knocking a shot at the other end. What a game from Kemp. A man inspired.
And Jack finishes off the pass from Price. But they're playing like a dream team now. They've had a couple of minutes spelled here and there through the tournament, but nothing as consistent as this. This is sheer magic. Awesome power and quickness. And the crowd in turmoil. And they want more. Every one of them hungry for the ball.
And pressure in the front court gets the ball back for the United States as well, so we could have 50 points very soon.
And for once, Jack misreading the pass. There's Kemp denying Nossoff. And Jack just calmly places it in. Nothing to it. So they're almost achieving as much in the first half and in the whole of the first meeting. This is a totally different USA team.
Remember, the US only scored 40 points in the first half against Greece, and here they are, almost up to 50 in the first half of the first half.
Mikhailov. Quick prices. Shaq. Didn't enjoy that. Also defending him well, but in the end has to foul him.
Plans the Russians had before the game to keep it tight. They are in total disarray now. Ruined by an incredible onslaught. And that was even before Shaquille O'Neal came on.
Those are the stats going in. Shaq leading the tournament ahead of Nossoff, but Nossoff and Shaq get the bulk of their points very close to the basket. We won't find Shaq shooting from too far out. But it's on defense that he's done most of his work. He's destroyed teams on defense. Very much the leader of the team. And they're shouting, dunk it, dunk it. But in the end, traveling called. And there's a feeling that perhaps they should have been called for that a little bit more often.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot more of a license to walk with the ball in the NBA, and that's one criticism that Coach Belov has leveled at the referees here.
Domani. Again, the rebound from Kemp. Reggie Miller, they left him alone. This is Pashutin.
Well, perhaps the storm has subsided temporarily, but the Russians still find themselves 28 down, and there's a foul, so 2 foul shots to come. O'Neal and Kemp combining to stop the penetrating player.
And that's quite a sandwich to be in the middle of those two. Nossoff went down as he'd been slugged by Tyson. So on all-time World Championship record, 32,000. And if that's not enough, in comes one of the major talents in the NBA over the last decade, Dominic Wilkins. Starts off next season with the Boston Celtics. Nosov to the line. Dan Marley, also new on, number 9 from Phoenix. Shaq. And a foul on Nosov. He's had the unenviable task of being face to face. He's calling you, Roy.
That was what the ringing sound was.
I think it could be a Russian calling for help.
Send for Mr. Gomelski, I think.
They need a machine gun, really. Sean Kemp. Perhaps in a team of stars here tonight, he's been the one that shone brightest of all.
It does help when your three-point shooters are on song, and Kemp's getting a lot of freedom inside because the defense has got to go out to these three-point shooters, but Kemp's having a blinder on the defensive board as well. I thought he was going to take a 3 there for a minute.
Well, the way he's playing, he could get a 4. And for once, Shaq is robbed of the ball. But not that time. Nosov. Well, that was a bit of a prayer. Lovely looking move, but it was unlikely. And there's Dominic Wilkins.
Well, Wilkins prepared there just to throw himself at the defender, and he got the call his way. There we go. And Wilkins just throws himself at the defender.
For the USA, number 12, Dominic Wilkins.
Mikhailov adjudged to have fouled him. So here's Dominic, 34 years old now. And what a year, what a career he's had. 10 times on the All-Star team, 27,000 points, 9th in the NBA's all-time list.
And the Russian coaching team has sat down. I think they've accepted the inevitable now.
Price. Marley. Price again.
Number 5, Mark Price, 3.
I reckon there are going to be so many records set in this game, one of which is probably going to be number of three-pointers scored in a match. Under FIBA rules, that is.
Yes, the three-point line is a meter nearer the basket than in the NBA. And look at that from O'Neal. Dunked it from about a couple of yards out.
Maybe Fetisov wasn't unlucky to have hurt his ankle. The luckiest Russian out there, not on the court.
This is a real old-fashioned mauling. And they love that on the bench. And he timed it right well. It just wasn't the physical power. It was the timing as well. That's why he's nearly a billionaire.
And at last, Kemp has taken a break. And at last, a three-pointer for Russia.
Domani, who has been consistent right the way through this tournament. Larry Johnson, new on, gets his first 2 of the match. Bazarevich, Nosov. Good move. One of their best offensive moves of the match.
Yeah, the Russians playing with a lot of pride. I think they've conceded the game now, but they're just going to make a festivity if they possibly can. Good fast break, good trailing move.
Pashutin it was, making the burst. And Nosov, who drew the foul. And goes to the line. Plays in the Slovenian league for Olimpia Ljubljana.
His club won the European Cup, the secondary competition in Europe this year, so he's got one trophy on his shelf already. I think he's going to get a silver tonight.
4 minutes left in the first half. Dominic. Marley. No basket for Larry Johnson, but a foul called against Pashutin. So timeout called, and a chance for the Russians to regroup. USA leads 61-28. Since then, they've kind of gone to sleep, but I don't think that's going to happen here for some reason.
No, it's difficult to think of how Don Nelson actually motivated his team, but one of the things he could have said was just compare yourself with Dream Team 1, and perhaps their biggest margin was 68 against Angola, so perhaps that's what they're after tonight. It certainly looks that way. 63-28 at the moment, still in the first half.
That was Kisurin, and they're going for more and more hopeful shots now. Price. And even the mistakes are covered up. O'Neal has Nossoff behind him. And he draws the foul against Kisurin. The Russians have been building since mid-May for this tournament, and it's paid off in bundles. Played so well. Had a 3-week camp in Moscow, followed by a tournament in Buenos Aires. Then they went to Berlin, Athens, and St. Petersburg. And a young team have gelled really well, but they've just been blown apart by this awesome display of power. And again, they get the rebound. That was Marley that time. And the possession.
Part of the exercise of one of the reasons why the NBA players are in this and in the Olympics is to compare Europe and the rest of the world with the players of the NBA. And I think there's no question that Europe and the rest of the world are still decades behind the standard of the NBA players.
There's a three from Damani.
Just an example of what I was just talking about. Young Nossoff had a good game against Dino Radja, one of the best European centers, but he really is struggling against the best NBA center, Shaquille O'Neal.
And Price going through one of those phases where he just can't miss. Kisurin. Oh dear.
Well, when the Russians get an offensive rebound, they give it away.
And Marley, the three-point shooter, laps up the Christmas present. Babkov. It's run and gun at the moment. Into the last 2 minutes of this first half here. O'Neal goes on his own, but travels.
Courtside announcer enjoying himself as well, and why not?
So the most in a half is 71. That was against China. They only won it by 55, 132-77 in the end. Well, even on this evening, there can be some mistakes. Well played, Damani. That was excellent.
Well, even in their worst nightmares, I think the Russians would have not liked a 33-point margin at the end of the game, but here it is. It's now 35, and we're not even the end of the first half.
Just brushing these big men aside as Shaquille. Pashutin with two. Offensively, the Russia not doing too badly. Defensively, they just can't cope.
Defensively, they're not on the same planet, I'm afraid.
Marley. Here's Price. Johnson, O'Neal. Oh, yes. The fake in midair. And he makes the lead 35 now. Nossoff. No wonder he's having to put up shots like that. It's terrifying what's happening.
And the big guy plays defense as well. Marley can't believe he traveled. Good call, actually, from the referee. But look at this slam move there from Shaquille. and then he goes and plays defense.
And there's the little shimmy. So the standards hardly dropped as the seconds tick away then at the end of this first half. So they've broken their own record for points and a half. The first to go. There'll be many more, as Roy was saying. Babcock with a couple, and that's the end of the half. One of the finest halves of basketball I've ever seen. Certainly the best half of basketball ever in the World Championships.
And I think the Russians will say that as well. They have been on the end of a real spectacular half of super offensive basketball, and the defense was pretty good as well. Moments.
The start of the second half then. USA lead 73-40, going for their third gold medal in these 12 World Championships. They won in '86 in Spain, in '54 in Rio, but never with the kind of talent that's on display on this court this evening. Dumas. And they get the luck as well. Not that they need it. Babcock. Bazarevich, who had a storming start, but ultimately wasn't able to do too much. He does those deep penetrating runs. Oh, Kemp again, so alert.
Well, I think even Derek Coleman is impressed with Shawn Kemp's athleticism in this game.
That's a nice move.
Number 10, Sergei Babcock.
Kemp. No goaltending, hit the rim. Bazarevich driving again.
And the score in this half is only 5-4, so 0 for a start like this in the first half, say the Russians. Trouble is, that's history now. Maybe the defense just slackened off a little bit.
Mikhailov. Morning having his first taste of the final. And comes to the game in impressive fashion. Monzo Mourning, the only one of this team who was in the World Championship team of 1990.
Well, the Russians reduced now to shooting from way outside the arc. That was about 10 meters away, let alone 7 NBA distance.
Now, Belov told them in the quarterfinal qualifying match just to have fun, and that maybe is what he said at the start of the second half here.
I don't think he can do anything else, really. They've got to get something out of it. There's no point in just going through the motions. Got to learn something, play tough defense, and study an opponent, really. I don't think you need to do too much studying of Shawn Kemp, though. It's a story of raw athleticism.
And there's Alonzo Mourning just saying hello. Domani, Bazarevich, two most impressive players for me on the Russian team.
Well, I speculated as to whether the American defense had slackened off a bit, but I don't think it has. They're playing on pride out there still. There's a hand up to every shot.
Yes, it's not as if the pace has slackened off one bit. Here's Bazarevich driving again.
I think interference call.
Must have been a tight one. Whoa. Nothing close about that.
Number 15, Larry Johnson returns. Placing number 7, Shawn Kemp.
So Shawn Kemp, who had such a strong first half, the start of the second goes off. And Larry Johnson from Charlotte. There he is. Reggie Miller. Mourning. Oh, three-pointer from him. They can all shoot three-pointers. We'll get Shaq out here in a minute shooting threes as well.
Well, when your 208 or 6'10 centers can shoot three-pointers as well, then you have the complete all-round game.
11 from 14.
That is phenomenal percentage outside the arc. Mind you, they are used to shooting from a meter further away.
Domani. Johnson feeds Miller. And it's almost an event when he misses one. Reggie Miller from Indiana. Top scorer with 31 points against Australia. It's the most they've had from any individual in one match. All-time leading scorer at the Pacers. Johnson. Morning. Good to see he's mortal. Bazarevic gets a free run. And for once, they let him go. Kevin Johnson just steps aside.
I think Coach Sergei Belov is actually speechless. I think he would like to see the game clock read naught now, and this game over.
2 more for Morning, the lead up to 41. And they're still scoring with virtually every offense. Mikhailov draws the foul on Alonzo Mourning.
USA foul, the first team foul of the period. For 14, Alonzo Mourning, his first personal. Dominic Wilkins returns for Reggie Miller.
So timeout called, and the lead 41, 91 USA, 50 Russia. That's the situation, 91-50. The early stages of this second half of the World Championship final. And inside, Coleman, Shaq and Mourning grabbing 35 points.
Well, the question you asked me earlier on, Simon, about Sergei Belov, what does he do from here? Well, the first thing is he's got to persuade people like Marshalanis, Volkov, Sabonis and Tikhonenko to play for Russia as opposed to the satellite countries. Some quality players there, but I don't think even they could have done too much today.
Because the other thing they're going to try and do initially is to try and get some of those foreign players back in Russia playing for club teams. And of course that will help. There's a Super League just been set up of 6 clubs with a pyramid, base of a pyramid of 24.
That's right. I hope someone's got a big checkbook though, because the countries like Greece and Italy are attracting good Russian or former Soviet players to play for the clubs in those countries at the moment. So the Russian Federation got to put an awful lot of money into the game.
Well, as you hinted before, there's a new television deal, there's new sponsorship, and they're saying that's not going to be a problem, but it's one thing saying it and the other thing actually getting those guys back.
That's right. I don't know whether the appeal of playing in Siberia or Russia or the outlying districts of Russia is quite the same as playing in sunny Greece or Italy.
We shall see, but that's the plan.
The USA, number 14, Alonzo Mourning.
Basketball now very much a world game, no doubt, which is the #1 nation, but I think we're now seeing standards raising, just as in football we saw in the World Cup this year, standards raising worldwide. China have had a good run this year. Greece are improving all the time. Asian countries doing well. Angola. Australia having a real mountain of a time down there with basketball.
Yeah, you're right. It's a global game, but the problem is that we have Atlanta looming in '96 and a probable Dream Team 3. And it seems to me that the players of the NBA are getting better all the time. In fact, they may even be pulling away from the rest of the world. Possibly a situation where NBA players playing in international basketball could even be called overkill.
Bazarevic having to put it up almost vertically, but impressively gets the 2, the lead 36. Yes, Dominic Mourning, an evil look as well as he takes the foul but gets the basket. But look at Bazarevic flicking that up.
second team foul on Russia in the period. Following the good
He's some player.
Will try one only.
We were talking the other day about him being a possible NBA player, and you were saying at 29 he's too old to start. If he'd gone 4 years ago, he might have made a big impression.
Yeah, Bazarevic plays with a lot of heart and got a good head on him as well. Possibly a little bit small for the NBA, but that may have gone past him now at 29 years old.
6'2", 1m88. Babkov into Nosov.
Number 15, Vitaly Nosov.
And have the possession.
Well, the Russians having a good second half. It's 21-18, which is by no means the same situation as we had in the first half. The relentless onslaught seems to have diminished somewhat.
Steve Smith takes his first part in the final. Had less court time than any of the others. It's been pretty well shared about, but he's got just slightly less than some of the others. Boris Johnson hasn't played too much. Just notices a slight lessening of the intensity now. But the die has been cast. Karasev with the embarrassment of the air ball.
Yeah, the defensive pressure's definitely eased off, and maybe another first. Americans actually saying, all right, we'll let them have a few shots.
2 more for Morning. And the offense really ticking along now for Russia. Morning, no one going to him. Both sides now really concentrating on offense. Bazarevic, nice move. Not quite finished off by Ivanov, new on the number 13, Sergei Ivanov.
Yeah, the game's taken the realm of a playground contest now, I think. It's do what you feel like.
Nosov fouling Dominic.
Number 15, Vitaly Nosov.
Sergei Belov, who's won 2 World Championship gold medals in his time, as well as that Olympic gold medal in 1972. Super move there from Alonzo Mourning.
And that man, Christian Belp, steps in with 2 points and a bonus.
They may not have settled for the silver then, but they certainly will here. So 2 more for Dominic, and the lead moves to 38. Bazarevic. Nosov going for it.
That's not the kind of pass that's going to succeed against any kind of American defense, even with that man sitting on the bench.
Price. Wilkins. And now they move into 3 figures with 11 minutes left. Nosov going for it, but not able to execute. Here's Price, 3 on 2, and Johnson. Good work from Nosov.
Super pass there from Mark Price, though. Oh, what good following, but what a shame. That's a good outlet pass, the attempted dunk.
Mourning and Johnson getting each other's way. And the foul on Wilkins.
USA foul.
Game's gone very scrappy, understandably so. The standard the Americans set in the first 10 minutes was just awesome and very difficult to keep up. A lot of mistakes being made now. Here's one of them, man hanging on the ring and twanged it out for what turned out to be a good outlet pass.
So Shaquille O'Neal introduced, reintroduced, the lead 41. Moving down towards midway in the second half. Bazarevic. Price. Yes, looking forward to Atlanta. This is obviously a completely new team from Dream Team 1. Interesting to see how Dream Team 3 is constructed. It's the US Basketball Association's committee who decides these things.
Yes, Dream Team 2 has no players from Dream Team 1, so perhaps that policy may be followed again with a fresh 12 NBA players.
I can't see them going to Atlanta, though, without Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, there's first-round draft pick this year, a guy called Glenn Robinson from Purdue, reputed to be a possible $100 million man. He's only 6'8", but I tell you what, he's a hell of a player. The story there, Simon. I've had the #1 draft pick from this year, Glenn Robinson, in my gym at home in Ware. Nearly ruined my ring.
Did he lend you any money?
Well, we offered him a spot on the team for next year, but he politely declined.
Blazing number 10, Sergei Babkov. Russia number 15, Vitaly Nosov to the line. Shooting.
So, Nosov to the line. He's had a decent game here, and one that he'll only benefit from.
He's had a good tournament. I was very impressed with the job he did on Dino Raja. And I know Dino Raja will have been impressed as well.
Yes, he and Mikhailov were a formidable pairing. Shaquille O'Neal goes for 3.
All trying to get in on the act.
Well,
and they're asking for goaltending there.
Well, I thought with reason. O'Neal. Look at those elbows going in. Gets the basket. But is that fair?
He does make himself an awful lot of room with those elbows. And I think Ivanov there just pointing that out to the referee. Here we go. That was the shot block. And here's Shakir, watch the elbow, bang.
No, that has to be an offensive foul.
I can't see any reason why that wasn't called an offensive foul, other than the fact that it's Shaquille O'Neal.
So one of the shortest man on the court there gets the rebound, and another three-pointer. Larry Johnson this time. So it's just about Shaq on his own who hasn't got the 3 points. Bazarevic, Nosov, good vision. Johnson, Price. And the three-point percentage is nowhere near as good in the second half as it was in the first. Wilkins. Great hustling. And in the end, it's Wilkins who does it.
Great studying, keeping the rebound alive there from Shaquille. He couldn't get two hands on it, so he kept tapping it up for a teammate.
Nosov. Price. Good stuff. And Steve Smith finishes it.
There are so many differences between these two teams, but one of the ones that I've just picked out is the Russians have no confidence in their shooting, whereas the Americans, they know that if they miss, there's a rebounder in there.
Shaquille O'Neal acting as guard. There's one thing he can't do. There's very few of them. Oh, yes. Bit of NBA from Dimitri Domani.
I'm impressed with this number 6 for Russia, Domani, as you say. He's at college in the States, St. Joseph's in Philadelphia. And a possible future ahead for him in the NBA. Still a young man. He's only 19.
Well, Shaq seems determined. Goaltending there. He seems determined to get a three-pointer before this game is out. There's the dunk from Domani.
Yeah, one of the things that worried FIBA about letting NBA players in here was that they were taking away the uncertainty of end results. But the NBA players have replaced that particular situation with the entertainment situation. There's Shaq taking another three, determined to get one. I reckon the roof will go off if he does.
Babkov draws the foul on Dan Marley. Member of the US Olympic team, as you said, back in '88 in Seoul.
And of course he was playing against Bazarevich there, so revenge is sweet for Dan Marley.
There's rather different teams, aren't they?
Number 11, Mikhailov.
Mikhailov for two. Here's Shaq. Well, they're giving him the three-pointer, but he may have at last given up on that. Good defending. Mikhailov it was. And here's Bazarevich. Mikhailov.
Number 11, Mikhailov.
And Bazarevich with the move inside. And talking of moves inside, he's missed one.
Well, the Russians they've proved that they can play a bit. It's just that I don't think they expected quite such an onslaught in the first 10 minutes. They've done well in the second half, but the door was slammed on them in those devastating 10 minutes.
Yes, you were talking about confidence early on. I think they slowly gained some confidence in the second half.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with that, as the fact that the American defense has definitely taken a step backwards, and they've not got a hand in their face on every shot now.
So a 49-point lead. Oh.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Massive dunk. Yeah, 39.
Yes, you run out of superlatives when you see so many dunks from Shaquille. Massive, fantastic, incredible. But a dunk is a dunk. I wonder how many he's got in his repertoire, how many different varieties.
Again, superb timing on the rebound. And there he is quickly up on offense. Here's Smith. Into Johnson, and the foul.
Russia foul, the 5th team foul.
Even off it was.
Number 11, Mikhailov has committed his 4th.
No, in fact, Mikhailov it is who has the foul against him, so he's only got one more left. Oh. And he's got one heck of a man to defend.
Well, we now know why Shaquille O'Neal has the highest field goal percentage. He takes a pretty high percentage shot just about every time.
Yes, he's not doing much of it, though, going for those three-pointers, but I think he's given up on that one.
Yeah, it ruins his stats.
Wilkins. Here's Smith. And O'Neal again gets his own rejection.
Too many steps.
But at last is adjudged to have travelled.
Well, I think the referee had a choice there, travelling or 3 seconds. And Shaquille probably took about 3 steps.
Our 30 seconds of mayhem.
Under 4 minutes left. Well, Russia looked at one stage as if they might be humiliated. They haven't been. They've kept their side of the bargain. 75 points. They've done pretty well on offense. Although, as Roy was saying, they haven't had as much to contend with in the second half as they did in the first. But all credit to them. Heads up still.
Yes, I think a record by a Dream Team is 133, and that was by this team here against China. So at the moment they're on for just about that.
That's 132 against China. 132-77.
USA foul, the 7th team foul of the period. Number 8, Steve Smith, second personal foul.
Here's Bazarevich on the charge.
Steve Smith's had a strange tournament. He's picked up about a dozen of those little tiny touch fouls. Hardly had any court time and really hasn't had a chance to get warmed up even. He started in one game as well.
Looks like Sergei Belov is just sitting back and enjoying it like the rest of us. Price, he doesn't miss. Now his stats will be absolutely incredible at the end of this. Babkov and Mali all over the place.
USA foul.
Yeah, Mark Price. Proof that you don't have to be 7 foot tall to play basketball. Just like John Stockton in Dream Team 1, a real quality All-American boy type player.
Sergei Babkov, 1 shot remaining.
Do a bit of translation there, Roy.
Well, I've got journalists from all over the world here. I think that was Japanese shorthand, wasn't it?
I think it was the score. Smith. So who's going to make the move? Price. And Wilkins from outside. And the lead, 44. Nice move.
Lovely give and go from the Russians. Nice, simple basketball, but very effective.
Ivanov and Bazarevich finishing it. Oh, my word. Mali with just about the biggest 3 of them all.
Number 10, Sergei Babkov.
Babkov. Well, if you knew at the beginning of the match that Russia were going to score more than 85 points, you might have thought this was going to be one heck of a game, but you weren't going to count for what happened in the first 10 minutes. Larry Johnson, and they're beginning to find the same kind of touch now as this match ticks down, as they had in those opening minutes.
Yeah, I wonder if Coach Belov went into this game with a plan to try and restrict the Americans to a low-scoring game like he did the Croatians. Well, if he did, then he achieved just about the opposite.
So it's open season at the moment. Smith. Rebound from Ivanov. Oh, yes. Good stuff from Smith. Wilkins in the end finishes it. It's 134 against Puerto Rico. I mean, it looks like that is in grave danger here.
And I honestly don't believe the Americans are treating their opponents with contempt. I think they're paying them some respect, but they're just so much better.
So it may well need a 3, but I wouldn't bet against it. They're going to leave us with something to cherish at the end. Rebound from Damani. Marley. Smith. Marley goes from way out, and there's the record. 135 points. Ivanov with 2 more. And the last move goes to the oldest man on court, Dominic Wilkins. And the USA take the gold medal.